Hello friends, welcome back to your channel. I was reading Hacker News this morning and I saw a threat intelligence report that gave me absolute chills. A highly advanced group known as Velvet Ant managed to infiltrate a massive corporate network, bypass their endpoint security, and maintain complete undetected root access to isolated Linux servers for 3 entire years. When we are first learning cybersecurity, we spend all our time focusing on the initial breach, getting that first reverse shell, but today I want to show you the art of absolute stealth. How does an elite threat actor stay completely invisible for 1,000 days? They didn't use noisy malware. They didn't trigger a single antivirus alert. They took the operating system's own trusted security guards and quietly turned them into traitors. Grab a notebook. Today we are breaking down exactly how this happened. We are going to look at the mechanics of PAM backdoors, a bonus fileless memory exploit, and why changing your password might actually be the worst thing you can do during an incident response. Vamos. Let's look at the core mechanic. How do you hide in plain sight? You hide inside the gatekeeper. In Linux, when you log into a server using SSH or the local terminal, the system doesn't check your password itself. It hands your password to the Pluggable Authentication Modules, PAM, specifically a file called PAM Unix. So if PAM Unix so says the password is good, you get in. If it says it's bad, you get rejected. It is the ultimate bouncer. Standard attacks usually try to bypass spam entirely, but an advanced threat actor, they just replace spam. The attackers overrode the legitimate binary files with their own custom compiled versions, and by doing this, they gain two devastating capabilities. First, the master key. The backdoor PAM module contained a hard-coded secret password. It didn't matter if the real admin changed their password to a 50-character cryptographic string. If the attacker typed their secret master password, the traitor PAM module instantly granted them a root shell. Second, the credential harvester. The attackers didn't just want their own access, they wanted yours. Every single time a legitimate administrator logged into the server normally, the backdoor module silently captured their plain text username and password. It passed the real credentials to the actual verification loop, so the admin noticed zero delay, but simultaneously saved that plain text password to an unlinked invisible disk sector. This leads to a fascinating reality where standard hacking training completely fails. Imagine a security team detects a weird IP address touching their network. What is the very first thing the manual tells you to do? Force a global password reset. Listen to me. If your authentication layer is backdoored, resetting the password does absolutely nothing. In fact, you are helping the attacker. The exact millisecond the admin logs in to verify the new password, the traitor PAM module steals the new password and ships it right back to the hacker. You cannot lock a door when the locksmith is working for the adversary. Now, I want to give you guys a bonus hacking concept. A lot of you ask me if they have malware, won't file integrity monitors or antivirus catch the file on the hard drive? Yes, if they save it to the hard drive. So, advanced operators don't use the hard drive. They use a beautiful Linux system call called memfd create. Normally, when you create a file, it gets a physical address on your disk. Memfd create creates an anonymous file that lives entirely in the volatile RAM. It never touches the physical storage. The attacker downloads their malicious payload directly into this invisible memory space and executes it from there. To a system administrator running a process check, everything looks normal. There is no file to scan. The malware is wearing the skin of a legitimate process floating like a ghost in the system's memory. But Velvet Ant had another problem. The ultimate targets, these backdoored Linux servers, were isolated deep inside the corporate network. They had no direct internet access. You cannot SSH into a box that isn't connected to the web. Uh, so, how did the attackers control them? They turned the corporate infrastructure into a routing engine. Step 1, they compromised a standard internet-facing web server at the edge of the network. Step 2, they pivoted into the core network by compromising the massive infrastructure appliances, the F5 load balancers and Cisco Nexus switches. Why attack a switch? Because the data center switches process massive volume of traffic and they rarely run antivirus or EDR software. The attackers exploited vulnerabilities to gain underlying Linux operating system access on the Cisco switches themselves. They turned a networking switch into a proxy server. They took their malicious commands, encapsulated them inside completely benign, normal looking protocol packets, and passed them from the web server through the compromised switch straight into the isolated Linux servers. They built an invisible tunnel underneath a $10 million firewall. This is why I love studying advanced persistent threats. It pushes us to be better. If you're on the blue team, how do you catch a system that is actively lying to you? You stop reacting and you start hunting. You cannot trust basic checksum commands on a live compromised system. The rootkit will just spoof the results and tell you everything is fine. You have to put the infected operating system to sleep. Look at my screen. I type this command. I take that cryptographic hash and I cross-reference it against the official known good repository hashes from Ubuntu or Red Hat. If those hashes do not match perfectly, you just found the traitor, you found the ghost. But listen to me, if you do not understand the architecture of these systems or how the data packets route through those compromised Cisco switches we talked about, you will never be able to catch a ghost like this. You found the backdoor file, but you do not reset passwords yet. If you reset passwords while the backdoor is breathing, you are just feeding the new passwords directly back to the enemy. First, you surgically replace the compromised PAM and SSH binaries with clean packages. Next, you physically sever the network routes to the compromised pivot points, the F5 balancers, and the network switches. You blind the attacker. Only after the login layer is absolutely surgically clean do you execute the global password and SSH key reset. Escuchen me, hermanos. This is the reality of 2026. This is what Apex Predator warfare looks like. We don't learn this to do damage. We learn this so we can understand the adversary, build better defenses, and protect the networks that matter. Thank you for watching. Keep learning, keep pushing yourselves, and stay curious. Do like and subscribe.